Hello, welcome to my channel and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all my videos organized in logical order. Well, this is part 2 of the list application. We're going to program the navigation buttons first. They're really easy. It's really just moving a pointer along a list. If the list index is 0, we're at the beginning of the file. Add 1 to the pointer or that index and we've moved forward along the file. Subtract 1 from the list and we are moving backwards. If we need to go directly to the end of the list, we just have to go 1 less from the list record count. Now, we don't want to go beyond the bounds of the list. Less than 0 or greater than number of records would cause our program to blow up. Smoke would billow from the machine. It wouldn't be pretty. But a simple if statement can avoid that problem. In this video, you will also find that every time we launch the program, we have to re-enter the data. That gets a little old. So it's time to code the save and load routines as well. Here's how we do it. The add button's in place right now, and we're going to look at the navigation buttons. Since we're able to actually put items into our list, we'd like to see if we can actually navigate through them. So we'll set up the navigation buttons next and look at those things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to program the button top first. This first one we see right here, as we can see, it's called button top. So I'm going to double click on this guy and create an event for this particular button. And there it is. Now, what we really want to do when we're doing a navigation to the top of the file, we want to set our current record equal to 0. So in current record is going to be equal to 0. In other words, the first record in the database. That's what we're actually looking at here. So we're going to point to first record. And remember, the int current record is what we're going to be using. Up here we set it to -1 and we had nothing in there. And so it's going to actually have a number in it now, and it's going to be 0 to go to that first one. So top goes right there. That's all we really need to do. We do want to check for some things though, so we want to say that the text input.text is going to be equal to lsstuff.intCurrentRecord. And we'll actually use that current record to display it in our text box there. Oops, I got a brace in there. I'll pull that brace out in a second. Place record in text box. Get rid of this brace. And we also want to go ahead and display record count. And the reason we're doing that is we actually changed our location for our current record to 0, so it's going to actually show that on our screen right now. So we will call display record count routine. And finally, one of the things I want to do when we're actually navigating is talk to the user and let them know that something has actually happened. So typically what I do is I create an area on the screen that is going to hold a message for the user, navigation message, whatever, informing the user what just happened, if it's successful or not. Did it load the file? Did it save the file? That kind of stuff on here. So we're going to go back to our form real quickly, and I want to drop this down just a little bit. This form down, and underneath here I'm going to put a label. So we're going to go to our toolbox real quickly here. Actually, we can just grab one, can't we? We can just grab one here. Let's go ahead and grab this one, place it down here. I want to make it the full size. So we're going to actually go ahead and make this an auto size false so we can size this ourselves. The font's fine and what we've actually got in here, but I do want to change the color. I'm going to change the color of this thing, which is in the font property for color, to red. That'll make any message stand out very easily for the user. And I'm also going to get rid of this comment in here. We don't need this anymore. So we'll just pull the text off. And I want to give this thing a name. We're going to call this thing LBL message. And that puts that in place. And so the user won't see this. It'll be actually gone when we actually see this. But when it comes up, a message will appear in the screen telling them what just happened. So let's go back to our button. And right down here, we're going to go LBL message .text is equal to you are at the top of the file. And we'll put a little comment there, a little semicolon there, and that's it. Inform user. So that works out fine. Now we're going to go to our design again and click on the forward button. We click on this guy right here. That creates our forward button. It's going to do something very similar. We're going to say again, int record. We're working with the int current record count. Int current record is equal to int current record plus 1. Add 1 to current record. Now that's going to be great. Again, we do our text input, our display routine can go right in here, and we'll even put a message in here. So these guys can be copied right in to this area right here, except we're going to say, no, we don't really need to say we said anything here. So we're moving forward because the record is going to be showing there. I'm just going to take this out and leave it as a null here so that whatever's in the message box will be blank now. You won't see anything in there. The other thing we're going to have to worry about is when we start going forward in a list, we have to worry about if we're going to go beyond the bounds of the list, past it. We can't do that. So basically we need an if statement in here that will stop us from going forward if we are. And so we're going to go here right after we did our int current record here and incremented it. And right in here we're going to put in if int current record is greater than or equal to record count. We could use list stuff count. We could use that, but we already have int record count. And that's going to check, did we exceed bounds of list? And if we did, then what we're going to do is we're going to simply say that our int record count, or int current record I should say, is equal to int current record minus 1. Back up 1. In other words, if we've exceeded it, we want to go back to where the actual end of file is. And that's going to actually cause our message to be put in here. So we actually will put a message box in here at this point. And it's going to say, you are at end of file. Now the same thing is true with the backwards button. Double click on this guy. We can kind of copy all the same things here because we're going to be doing the same, almost the same. We just need to change the if statement. So we're going to do a Control C here. Pop this in here and put it in place. And in current record is going to be in current record minus 1. We're going to decrement 1, subtract 1 from current record. And we're going to say if current record is less than 0, we have a problem. And that would be, we'd need to actually say in current record equal to 0. We want to sit at that first record. And then we're going to say you're at the beginning of file. Top of file is fine. That leaves us with one more to do. Is this correct here? Int minus equals. This should be plus 1. Backwards minus 1. There, that's better. And now we can go to our bottom of the file here. And this is going to be very similar to the, no, it's less code. But n is going to be int current record is equal to int current count, int record count, minus 1. Go to last record. We can do our, we can grab what we had up on this guy right here. Grab all those pieces and lay it in. Text input is going to be our current record. We're going to be looking at that last one. Display the record count. And we're going to say in here, you were at the top of the file, you're at the end of the file. You're at the end of the file. And inform the user. Do a Control Save All. Do a start. Now we do the same test we just did a few minutes ago. Our current record index is minus 1. We have no records in the file. So we're going to put in Daffy Duck. And we're going to hit add. That puts them in. We now have 1. We haven't said anything about the current record index. We haven't adjusted that. We're still sitting at a 0. We're not looking at anything specifically. We'll add Tweety Bird. And do an add. And we'll do an Elmer Fudd. And do an add. And let's get Porky Pig in there right away. And do an add. So we've added 4 records. And now we can use our navigation buttons to actually see these things. So I'm going to hit the top of the button right here. And we go to record 0. And it says we're at the top of the file. And Daffy Duck is that particular person in there. We can navigate through by going forward. And we'll go forward to record 1, which is Tweety Bird. Elmer Fudd is number 2. Porky Pig is the 3rd record in the index, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this will be the last one as well. If we hit this again, we don't go anyplace. We don't have a message showing in there. We need to actually fix that up. Let's go backwards. Not showing any messages there either. We go to the end of the file, and that shows you right into the file. So I think the only thing we want to add is when we actually get to the end of the file, we'd like to say you're at the end of the file. So let's go ahead and fix that up a little bit. If current record is less than 0, we're going to make it equal to 0 and say you're at the top of the file. If current record is less than 0, then inner record equals 0, and you're saying you're at the top of the file. Backwards doesn't work. It works fine. Forward works fine. These messages don't show anything. Oh, because I see why. It is showing these comments, but this comment right here is blowing it away. Pull these out. That allows us to show, because that was actually wiping out what we actually saw before, because it would do this, and then it would go here and display the record count and then put that blank message, so we weren't seeing the messages that way. I think that's going to leave us with a little bit of an issue. Let's add again. One thing I'm going to change the tab on this thing, so I'll go right down and I can hit the add right away. So let's go ahead and hit this thing right away. Look at our screen here. What is the tab for add? Tab stop is 7. I'm coming off this text box right here, which is tab index of 2. I'd like to make this thing a 3, so we go right to it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, make that 3. What is this guy? 8. I really don't care much where these guys, 5, 9, 10. There's a 3 right here. We'll make this a 5. What was the thing before? I don't remember. Make it a 7. Actually, grab it and make one of these label counts. Here it is, 14, because they don't get used anyway. And we've got 4 for the tab index on exit and 6 on this one. These guys they've got 17 and so on. So now we should be okay. File save as, save all, start. Let's store Daffy Duck. I can tab now, it goes right to add. Elmer Fudd, tab, add. Tweety Bird, add. And Sylvester Cat, add. We're there. We can now do our record count, do our top. We're at the top of the file. We can go forward. It still shows us. See, if it still shows us we're at the top of the file. So when we actually press these buttons, these 2 buttons should probably clear the message box before it does. But once we step through this, we get to end of file. So this is working. We can go backwards and click this off, and we're at the top of file now. Let's go ahead and do that real quickly. And these navigation buttons right here, we're going to go ahead and clear the message out right away. So we're going to go ahead and let's grab this one. Control C, and just right after we do the backwards, we'll clear the message. And we'll use that same one right under the forward. And now we'll do our file save. Now our navigation and our message should look good in here. Tweety Bird, Elmer Fudd, Daffy Duck, Sylvester. Looks good. Navigate. There's our top of the file. It says we're at the top of the file. We go forward on here. It says you're nothing, but it does go forward. It says Elmer Fudd, Daffy Duck, Sylvester Cat. Keep going. Oh, we're at the end of the file. We can't go any further. It tells us that. Go backwards. Again, it clears it. Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, Tweety Bird, and we're at the top of the file. Go down. We're at the end of the file. Go top. We're at the top of the file. So these navigation buttons now will actually go through the list and display the record it's on. It also display the index that we're actually working with at that time, 0, 1, or whatever. If it's a -1, we're not dealing with any current record. But once we have a live record in here, we actually have a current record index pointing to one of the elements in the list. And that means that as long as we have a record that's in our index here, we can use that index to do an edit, delete, whatever we need to do. We also use a search to find something if we needed to as well. So that's how that thing works. So that looks pretty good. What should we do next? The navigation works, add works. Might be nice to put the load and the save in place so that we've got our records and I don't have to keep adding these things each time. We can actually test our data with real data in there. So I have to do a load and a save first, probably save first so we can save our data, and then a load to bring it back in. So let's do that next. We'll click on save. That opens up our routine. Remember, we have our open file and save file dialog boxes down here, which we're making use of now. So we're going to go in here and we're going to do our button save. And first thing we want to do is basically put a comment in. We're going to write the contents of the list box to a file. And we'll put a try in here because we're going to have a try catch. scenario going on here. And after a try, we're going to have a catch. So the catch is going to be basically KTCH, and it's going to be, actually we want to make this thing catch exception EX. We don't need these braces, I just put them in here, so we'll pull those out. Now what's our message going to be down here? That's very simple. It's going to be message box .show ex.message. And we can simply say display system error or system message. Shouldn't get to this, but if we do, something went wrong and we're going to need to find out what it is. So that's looking good. Well, we actually go over here. So all we need to do now is actually write the save routine in here. And we're going to do that by bringing in our stream writer. And that's going to be output file. Put a semicolon on that guy, and that gives us a name of the output file. Stream writer is not giving us an error there, so it must already be in our using systems, and it is. It's sitting right in here, so we're in good shape there. Go back down to our routine. So there's our stream writer. We actually created the output file. Now we're going to take that output file and we're going to open the file. So we're going to, instead of saying open file though, we're going to use the save dialog file box. So we're going to open the file and we're going to say if save file dot show dialog is set equal to dialog results OK, we want to be able to do a function. If not, we're going to put an else under here and we're going to say, we could use a message box here. We could use our label, our message label on the bottom, but we could use a message box here because this is only when an operation is actually canceled. We're going to say message box dot show and say operation canceled. Display message. So that takes care of if we cancel out of the save dialog. Now we can actually do the piece that's going to actually write the data to the file. So we're going to go ahead and say output file, which we know is what we gave the name of that thing, is going to be equal to file.create text save file name. So we're going to grab the file name that the user typed in and put that in place here. We'll simply say that open users selected file. And then we're going to write the records. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than int record count, I equals I plus 1. Or we can simply say I plus plus to get that going in there. And then give it a semicolon. No, actually give it a loop. Give it our braces because we're going to have something going on in this loop. And loop's going to say output file dot write line. And we're going to say ls stuff I write one record from list. That's all we need to do. And when we're done with that loop, we're going to output file dot close. And we can say lbl message dot text is equal to file has been saved. Display message. And that's all we need to do for the save. Let's see if this works. File save all. Started. Here's our anything database. Before we do this, I'm going to run over to our file where I've got this thing stored. And it happens to be in this sandbox right here. You can see the graphics are sitting there, so it's the list demo showing up as a folder. I'm going to view this as details. A little easy to see. I'll look at my list demo now. Go to my list demo and go to my bin folder and my debug folder, and nothing's there right now. Something's going to be there shortly as soon as we create this thing. So we're going to go ahead and that's where I want to store it. I want to put it in that, but I can put it anywhere on disk. So let's do our add routine. Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd. I believe him screwed up. We'll fix him up when we do an edit later on. Tweety Bird, Yosemite Sam, and Sylvester Cat. And got them in there. We've got 6 records sitting out there. Go to the top, navigate through. Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, Tweety Bird, Yosemite Sam, Sylvester Cat. We're looking good there. We go to the bottom of the file, top of the file, whatever. We're going to save that now. Go ahead and hit save. It comes up with our save dialog box. I'm going to navigate to where I happen to have that particular folder. And that's somewhere in here. We've got it sitting in arrays. And way down here in list application, in the sandbox, we're still seeing this. Well, we can go in here. That's fine. And here's our list demo. And here's our bin folder, our debug folder. It's not there yet, but this is where I want to put it. So I'm going to put in the file name. I'm going to call it myguys.txt. Pop it in there. File has been saved. Is it there? Yes, it is. Can I open it? Let's go ahead. Well, the file's been closed, so we can open it. It comes up on a text box that looks like this. And there's our data sitting out in the My Guys text file. And I create a bunch of these things. I can name that thing anything I want every time I go in here and make use of this. That's a nice thing about the file dialog, the save dialog, and the open file dialog. You can control where you're actually going with this stuff. So file has been saved. So, and I still have it out there, as you can see. I can clear it down and load it back in. Well, the thing is, I do want to load it back in, because once I exit this, it's gone, and I can't get back at it. So the next thing to do would be to do the load button. So we'll double-click on load, and it's going to be pretty much the same routine that we did when we did the save routine. The try, catch, all that good stuff is going to be in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in here. We're going to say, read the contents of a text file to a list box. To a list. Not a list box, a list. To a list. And we'll do that by start doing a try, which is going to have a set of brackets. And of course, that is going to have a catch in here. It's going to be exception EX, so we got that whole piece put in place there. So we're going to do that. And our message box will be this. And it'll be display system message. In our try, we're going to get our stream reader out. So we're going to say stream reader is input file. Give it that particular name. And then we're going to say, again, the open dialog. If we called it open file, show dialog, and dialog OK. If it's OK, we're going to use some braces on this thing. We're going to do a function. If it's not, it's going to be an else, and it's going to be a message box operation canceled. Grab this one and steal it. And that cancels the operation. But if we're good here, we're going to make use of that. So we're going to say our input file is equal to file open file name. We're going to grab what the user has suggested. So we're going to open the file. Open user's file. We're then going to put a loop in here. It's going to be while input file dot end of stream is equal to false. We want to do a loop. So while we're not in a file, we simply want to say that ls stuff, and this is that add piece we did, the same add piece we used when we did the add routine. Stuff.add is we're going to add the input file read line. So I'm actually going to grab read a line and add to list. And that's all we need to do. After we're done with that, we're going to close the file. And we're going to have our LBL message in here. LBL message dot text is equal to file has been loaded. Display user message. And that puts us in pretty good shape here. Let's see if this works. File save all. And let's run it. And as you can see, we have nothing in there. I can't do the navigation. In fact, if I do the navigation, will it actually error out? It will error out. I need to put some checks in there to make that all happen. But let's go ahead and do a debug on this thing. We'll clean that up later. No, I want to stop debugging. Oh, well. Let's lower our load. We do a load. It asks where. Take the My Guys here, bring it in, and it should fill this, right? We probably should put a display record count in here. So we've got our record count in there so we can see, but it does say file has been loaded. I probably can hit this now and we go to the top of the record. Are we going to top of the record? Yes, we got 6. We're not displaying it. Daffy Duck. That's interesting. It doesn't show us when we go to the top of the record. Bottom does that. No. Yeah, that's interesting. We're not actually seeing that. Why? Good question. Top of file has nothing in it. Maybe it has a blank. Let's take a look. Exit this. Yeah, there's a blank up in here. I don't know if I put that in accidentally or what, but let's get rid of that. There we go. File save. Why have I got the other copy of this thing? Looking like this, looking like that. Looks fine now. So let's go ahead and run it again and do our load. My Guys. File's been loaded. Go to top. And it does show Daffy Duck. So bottom, it does show Sylvester Cat. We can navigate backwards and go there. The only thing I want to do that record count piece on here. So I'm going to go ahead and exit this out. And where we did our navigation, we did our load, I want to be able to, once this file's been loaded, I'd also like to go ahead and use that method I created, which is display record count. I should say routine, not as we get it right. Grab this thing right here, Control C, and put that in right at the point where it says file's been loaded, and lay that in there. Bring this back a little bit, do a file save, and do our load. Get our guys open. Much better. It shows we have 5 records in there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're looking at -1 right now. We can go ahead and do it. Navigate on here. We're looking at the 0 record. Forward. And we just stop in the file at record number 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is our 5th record in our system. So this is working fine. So our load, our save work, our add works. We can do all these other little details right now and clean all these. We might do the smallest ones first, so we'll do one of those next. One thing I hadn't mentioned before was the way messages were sent back to the user. The message box is a bit clumsy, but has its purpose, especially when things go wrong. But when you want the application to communicate with the user, a simple message area is the way to go. And you saw how well it worked with navigation, even loading and saving the file. In the next videos, you'll see it get used in all the other functions of this application. Well, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to use the website for easy access to all my videos. If you get a chance, please subscribe. That way, you'll be notified when something new is available. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.